exceptional writer, television media producer, brand manager, and a communication expert. Having served as an associate producer at Express News, he's a full-time faculty in the Media Sciences Department at ZABIST Karachi, where he mainly teaches courses related to national politics and civilization studies. As a writer, his journalistic articles have been published in different news and media organizations. He majorly writes on geopolitical, social, and economic issues.
Over to you, gentlemen.
Sapna Moti Bhavnani is an immensely talented filmmaker, a celebrity hairstylist, and a social activist. Sapna brings a unique perspective to the narrative. As a Sindhi herself, she draws on a deep understanding of the community's history and culture to create a beautiful and compelling documentary. Sapna proves that she has a keen eye for detail and a passion for social issues. Please give a round of applause for the panelists.
So first of all, Sapna, welcome home and welcome to the sanctuary of Daughter of the East as well. And it's a very serious yet poetic work that we just saw. And while watching this, two verses came to my mind, especially that particular moment when it was mentioned that in order to tell my story, I become the story. So there is a verse in Farsi, Tu duae mani, tu zikr mani. You are my zikr and you are my prayer. ज़िक्र फ़िक्र दुआ नमी ख़वाहम. अब मुझे किसी ज़िक्र या और किसी इबादत की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है because you are my ultimate goal. तू दुआए मनी, तू ज़िक्र मनी, ज़िक्र फ़िक्र दुआ नमी ख़वाहम. इसके अलावा हमारे फराज साहब का भी शेर है. पोइट्री में ये होता है कि बहुत सारी बातें you can say, though it was shared much later, but it's very apt and relevant. एक मुद्दत हुई लैलाए वतन से बिछड़े. एक मुद्दत हुई लैलाए वतन से बिछड़े. अब भी रिश्ते हैं. एक मुद्दत हुई लैलाए वतन से बिछड़े. अब भी रिश्ते हैं मगर मेरे ज़ख्म. अब भी रिश्ते हैं मगर मेरे ज़ख्म बरसों से. तो to start with, we have read a lot about different aspects before watching this documentary. For example, we have read Guldar Saab's version about Sikh people going from this part of the world to India. But this documentary introduces the Sindhi Hindu tragedy to the world, and it's a great tragedy. So there are so many things to discuss while browsing through different material, especially Rita Kothari's monumental work when she collected the stories related to the Sindhi Hindus. So I'll try to add things as we progress, but I would like to move towards Mr. Rahil. For example, I mentioned the Sindhu version thing. So what is your take on this?
First of all, thank you, Sapna, for being part of our festival, and like Saklan said, welcome home. I'll just say that what strikes me about your story is, in a way, it's a story for everyone. In a way, we're all part of this partition. We seem to think this is an event that happened somewhere in the past. But I believe it's something in the present, and partition is still happening, still felt for a lot of people, for a lot of communities. So, and especially for Sindhis, because for all the official histories of the subcontinent, they're mostly focused around Bengal or West Pakistan, Punjab side. And a lot of people, other people's struggles like Sindhi Hindus have been obscured or written out of histories. So this is what really strikes me, and this is what I guess is very important when showing about your documentary. So I'd like you to obviously shed some light on Sindhi Hindus and how they're portrayed in today's India.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm like in tears. It's so, it's really overwhelming. I guess tried to come to Sydney twice, and visa has been rejected. I'm hoping with the current situation, perhaps I will be home soon. That is my only desire, and it just gets me really emotional every time my film travels to Sindh, and the warm reception that I receive every single time. This is my third time. So once again, thank you so much for having me and the film. Really, really, really appreciate it. Actually, to be honest, like I say in the film, I really wasn't raised with any religion. My father, I think, probably did the best thing ever. Just kept me free of everything. Kept me free of gender, kept me free of religion. Just kind of let me be who I wanted to be. I think it was much later when I grew up that I realized I was a Hindu, because people called me that. But I think in the true essence of being a Sindhi, I was always identified, I always have, as just a Sindhi. So I really hope that in the future also we can go back, all of us, to just being Sindhis and drop the religion out of it, because that was never a part of our culture.
Sapna, I would like to ask a question. There are so many academic notions associated with this topic, forced migrations and forced displacement. So ignoring all this, I would like to know, as you mentioned, it took 2 years to figure out how to tell your story. So tell us something about the process, how you reached that point.
Yeah. It actually took a really long time. This documentary has taken 10 years from when I saw the Sindh Fakirs perform in a concert in Bombay. It was a Shushila Raman concert. And I remember I was sitting there watching Shushila perform, and they were the Bitsha singers who were coming, but they were delayed because of obviously visa problems. So it was 10 o'clock, and it's like the mics go off in Bombay at 10 o'clock, but everybody waited for them to come. And they came, and when they started singing, they didn't even need mics. I mean, it was something else. It just blew me away. And my partner at that time, he looked at me and he told me, "Do you know that's where you're from?" And I said, "What?" He said, "That's where you're from." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "That's Sindh. That's where you're from." And it was such a big awakening for me to see the music, to see the arts. I ran home and I Googled Sindh. And when I found out my most favorite singer, Abida, was also Sindhi, I had no idea. So music led me to this journey. It was music. And while thinking how I wanted to tell the story, I think it was very important to also be very true to me. I did not want to tell a story that did not have me in it, you know. And so this story with my grandma, with my nanny, really came at the right time, because 2 years I was like beating myself, how do I tell this story? मतलब मैं इंटरव्यू तो कर सकती हूँ सबके, but उसके beyond कैसे जाए, you know? ये लैंड जो मैंने कभी देखा नहीं है, ये लैंड को हम कैसे पाएं ऐसे? तो you know, when my nani, when the story of my nani that I tell in the documentary, when she called me old-fashioned, it just opened my eyes, and I thought, chalo, that's how I'm going to do this. So that's how the journey started. But it was through music. And it's sad, you know, one big thing that partition has done somehow is that the music and the art and the craft is there in Sindh, and the business came here. So we're soulless either way. You know, without the other, we're pretty soulless.
Sapna, recalling from some personal experiences, meeting Sindhis here and abroad, Sindhi Hindus specifically, very prosperous and very resourceful community when it comes to business. So I want to ask, on the other side of the border, Sindhis are very well represented here. Obviously, the second biggest province in Pakistan. But about how in India, without a province, how are Sindhi faring today in today's India? How visible are they in, say, society, in media, in other spheres of modern India? This is my question.
I think we're everywhere. I think the best part, like you said, is correct. We're very resourceful. I think losing everything and starting from scratch and spreading all over the world, not just India, and actually, you know, coming up on top is a great example of how resilient and hardworking Sindhis are. And Mr. Rupani, who is in my documentary, उसने ना एक बहुत अच्छी कोट दी थी मुझे, जो मैंने डॉक्यूमेंट्री में नहीं डाली, but he said कि हम ना वो कुएं से जो मेंढक से जैसे कुएं में बैठे रहे ना, हम वहाँ से निकल गए और हम अब विशाल सागर में तैर रहे हैं. And that's exactly how it is. Like we were first only in Sindh, पर अब हम पूरी दुनिया में फैल गए. तो वो भी अच्छी चीज हो सकती है. But the fact that the language in our country, जैसे मुझे सिंधी बोलना नहीं आता ना, पर मैं समझ सकती हूँ, पर मैं बोल नहीं सकती. मेरे जैसे तो बहुत सारे हैं इंडिया में. तो हमारी लैंग्वेज मर रही है. And a lot of people think, which is also probably true, that if the language dies, the culture dies. I don't really believe that, because the language has been dying, but I think culture can be preserved without the language as well. I think to make do, I think art, film is forever. I think that Sindhis in India, the biggest problem is that हम education और hospitals and health पे बहुत पैसे donate करते हैं, which is true, but arts and culture very far behind. And I hope that changes, because I hope they realize that these are the things that are going to preserve the culture and take it forward. Which I'm really glad that, is that your young daughter who watched the film?
Yeah, actually, yes. She was not really fond of seeing me from the seat, so she's on my lap now.
Yeah, that's fabulous, because that's, you know, even if she didn't understand anything today, but if she sees it later, it's going to be in her.
She was more enthusiastic when the songs came on, so she was chanting along as much as.
Music, this is what I'm saying. Same, it was the music that started me on the journey. Yeah.
Sapna, I would like to ask one question. Like so many people here in Pakistan, my parents also came from India and didn't manage to go back. They arrived here. When they came here, they arrived in Gambat, interior Sindh. So they had so many stories to tell, the way many of your subjects are sharing their memories. Similarly, one of our writers, Zain Ahmed Saab, he narrated the incident of a friend whom he met in Hong Kong, and his name was Abul Hassan, and the gentleman requested Abul Hassan to meet his father. He was from Shikarpur. And when they met, and the kind of questions he asked are very emotional for me, because somehow it took me to the story that my father used to share. That gentleman's father requested him, please go to Shikarpur on my behalf and go to that particular mohalla and go to that house, and you will see a tree of mango there that I planted. Please pluck a leaf of that tree, and if you send it to me through any means, I'll remain indebted to you. So stories like this are so touching, and I think in your documentary, the most powerful moments are those, according to my opinion, it's very subjective, the most powerful moments are those when the speakers are silent. They want to say something, but they are short of words, and you have captured it somehow. So,
thank you.
If you have something like this to share, and especially about the concept behind the water of the gods, why you included curry in your documentary, to share some light on that as well.
I think food is such an important way of culture to also transcend. I might know too much. Also growing up here in our school, in our textbooks, we never really talked about sin. We don't know much, partition, but about Sindhis, not really too much. So I learned so much by making this documentary. So much I learned that was so important and wanted to share to the world. And also when it comes to food, I picked Sindhi curry, but there is so much more in our cuisine besides the cliche of the Sindhi curry. But I think my aunt, I grew up with her making that for us. Every Sunday was like cliche at Kamala Auntie's house where we went to have Sindhi curry. So I thought it'd be very important, like stories that roll around the fire, to include that from caveman days also, where we sat around, theater as a community thing, cooking, eating together was such a important bond that I really wanted to bring in this documentary. So, and I wanted to also break that norm of just making documentaries that are very, for lack of a better word, Nat Geo, sort of BBC kind of documentaries. I want it to be a very personal story and really show that. I made sure, though, I focus more on their stories than on my stories. So there is a big chunk of stories that have not been told in this. I did not want to be more than 1 hour because people also switch off. So there will definitely be a part 2. There are so many more interviews that I want to show. There is my journey of the tattoos, which I barely even gone into in this documentary. But till I don't cross the border, I feel my story is still incomplete. So I need to do that first. And I hope that happens.
Sapna, like Saklan said, silence in itself is in a way a language, in your documentary especially.
Yes.
And there is a recurring motif of your inked legs. They keep appearing on and off. What's the, we did see some glimpses, but what's the whole, your body is a canvas. What's the saga? What are the themes? If you mind sharing with us.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that in no means is the documentary about me. So I did not want to show my face and be all over the documentary. I just kept my character to just a pair of legs, who was kind of weaving the stories from one person to another, you know, kind of like a conductor. I was just kind of like there, but not there. I wasn't even going to put my face, but people told me, like, you cannot not show your face. You have to show your face. So in the end, I did show my face for a few seconds, but I think the journey with the legs as a canvas was very, 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 very important to me. And like I said, I became the land. And it is really true, because everywhere I go, people see my legs. They see Sindh. They ask me questions. So the process is never ending, and the stories are on a daily basis. It's beyond the film. That's what's happened. Wherever my legs go, Sindh goes with me. And I feel like, you know, that's being meta on another level of being meta, where now the stories are beyond the film. And I'm actually going to a festival called Burning Man this year. It happens in America. It is a arts festival where there is a community of artists who come, and there are like some 80,000 people. And I'm taking Sindh with me there. And that is the whole point. I'm going to sit around in a camp, and I am going to tell you stories about Sindh and read poetry from Sindh and play music. I've actually picked up the guitar, and I'm learning 2 songs on it, so I can take that to the world with another installation, which is me. That's the next level, beyond the film.
So now, Sapna, we'll move towards the audience and we'll take their questions. Students are sitting here.
Yeah.
So any question? Sapna is here. Anyone? Yo.
Let's go with Shah Jahan first.
Oh.
Then you can.
Hi, Sapna. First of all, congratulations. I'm so glad to see your film here. And I've been following your work for a while now, so I'm just so glad that you're finally here. So my question is rather not political, but comes from something which you've already spoken about with Rajiv Masand as well, which is a few years ago, there was some talk in the Indian political system that the name of Sindh should be taken out of the anthem. And I understand that for a lot of the Sindhis in India must have been a crucial point. So has anything evolved from then, and has there been any movement where Sindhis have said, no, just because Sindh is in Pakistan, that doesn't mean that Sindhis cannot be in India. So has there any movement or anything happened from there?
No, actually, I think there is some push, but there are a lot of artists who are doing their work. The work on Sindh has been really propelled, I think, since this film. You see a lot more people coming out and proudly calling themselves #Sindhi girl, #Sindhi boy, where in India that was never the case. It was actually, people were a little ashamed because of the certain stereotypes that come with being Sindhi, to call themselves that. But I'm really glad that, you know, this film has changed a lot. And on Instagram, when I meet and communicate with a lot of people, They proudly claim themselves as a Sindhi. But I think, to answer your question, even when we left Sindh, and I talked to a lot of people, people just left. They did not fight back, unlike Punjab. They did not fight. We were told leave, we left. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Sufi influence of our culture, that we were just not fighters. So even when it comes to now, we're still not fighters. As you can see, we are not really fighting. I mean, the goal here is not, I hope not, is not to reclaim sin, and get into this ugly battle. It's not about religion, and I hope that never comes to that, because, like I said, being a Sindhi is far above just religion, And also with the national anthem, we're there in the anthem, even if we weren't there, would that really make a difference? I mean, these are just questions. We don't have a place in India to call sin, right? It's actually being very homeless. We don't have access to sin. it's kind of weird. And so what is it's like the importance is sure there in an anthem, but isn't it more important to have access to the land and the people? I feel that's far more important. And I hope that happens more than anything.
Hi, Sapna. Thank you for joining us today. My question is that Sindhi migration is an often overlooked topic. So what inspired you to use ink to tell the story of Sindhi migration?
I think that my whole attention was to speak to the young people, to the youth. Old people already know the story. Even the people, obviously, that I interviewed, they know the story. They lived through it, right? It's people who are my generation and much younger. They don't really care much about what history books are telling me. They don't anything that they can Google, they can just Google and find the information themselves. So how do you keep their attention? How do you tell stories using a language that'll appeal to the youth? I felt that ink was also a fabulous way to kind of do that. It was a great way to put even Ajrak on the map of the ink platform. When I was in New York and people saw Ajrak on my legs, they actually asked me what was that, and I told them that was an art form from Sindh. And I know a friend of mine actually got Ajrak on her skin. So it's such a beautiful way of transcending and taking the culture and passing it on, and especially speaking to the younger generation, which is what I'm really interested in doing, more than anything.
Okay, Sapna, we hope you'll get visa very soon in future, and you will
Thank you so
visit
much. Thank you.
your homeland. So thank you very much for joining us, and
Thank you so
rise
much.
up.
Yeah, just like Saklan said, waiting for the sequel where you are in Sindh, and it has a happier
Yes.
ending to it, right? And if you have any advice for anyone willing to get inked soon, so do tell them about the pain part too. So just so you know.
Please get inked, but please do not get your whole legs inked in 10 days. That's insanity. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah.
Thank you, Sapna, and thank you for
Thank
making
you.
the time today.
Thank you so
It
much.
means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I would request our moderators to stay on stage for a few moments as we present them with a token of appreciation. I would like to call Sir Qazi Fazli Azim to present our guest with a token of appreciation.
Change.
First, we would like to call Sir Saklan. Now, Sir Rahil.
Our next panel will commence after a brief break.